think we're going. We are. Hello.
Hello,
Hi. Good morning. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm okay. I'm all right, I feel. I think a good place to start with, really, is just say who you are and what this is really, this new series that we've sort of got planned out here. Just
Yeah.
what will be the point of this channel going forward, and so on and so forth.
Well, James, I should hand that to you because it's your thing. But no, well, those of you who don't know me, I'm Luke Hinton. I am the head of Juicebox Live. I program the Horn in St Albans, the Half Moon in Bishop Stortford. I have been the head of bookings at Wilkstock Festival since 2017. And various other things, and booking basically gigs for the last sort of about 14, 15 years. I work for Independent Venue Week as a regional coordinator for East of England and South East England. And since we went into lockdown, I've been the regional coordinator for Music Venue Trust for the East of England as well. So looking after about 80 venues as part of that. Obviously, what we have here is a new project that during lockdown is actually given us the chance to launch or get up and running. It's been something we've thought about for probably a couple of years. I don't think, one, I've had the expertise or time to do it. And obviously the opportunity became apparent with the use of things like Zoom as well, is that suddenly it's become a lot easier, or a lot more aware of a system that can be used to do this sort of thing. So obviously we invited you to get involved, which you kindly accepted, and something obviously we've all been excited about, and given a new platform of what's happening in the world of Juicebox Live, and to the Horn and other bits, and what we're doing, and also trying to give that platform to the artists that we've got booked or had booked or worked with, to put their music out, to give them hints and tips about advice, and just kind of do something to help promote the shows, but the artists promote what they're doing, so their music and any other projects that they're working on as well.
Genuinely, band interviews, especially now because I do them, because I started with a podcast for my own band, which I'm now switching over to this because you gave me the opportunity to. It was just, I found it's just fun, and I always thought they were fun, just to listen to artists talk in general about their stuff.
Yeah,
it's an interesting thing.
100%. It's something, obviously, throughout the years of putting on shows and talking to acts and doing the arts development nights, and these stories that bands have got to tell, people within the industry have to tell, but a lot of it is the same. There's a lot of similarities, and there's advice that can be given, and there's good practices. There's no perfect way of doing anything. I think that's kind of always, but to me, it is about, and something we've always been keen on doing, is offering those opportunities to get out further and people to develop themselves. And I think it is something for me that I like hearing the stories bands have, because it's all individual, it's all personal, but also it is the thing of, I despair sometimes when I don't see bands telling people about what they're doing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
If you've spent months and months crafting something, and that, whether that be an album, a single, a live performance, whatever it may be, tell people. That to me is something, get it out there, because if you don't, it becomes a vanity project opposed to something that really trying to tell the world what you've done. And you should be proud of doing it, because at the end of the day, if you spend that time on it, it's something that I want to hear you shouting about it, because you'll shout louder than anyone else. It's something of, it's only if someone comes along and says, oh, by the way, we have this facility, we have this Juicebox Live TV, we have this, we can put you on and put your music out to new people before you're doing a show with us as well. That to me is, you have your audience as a band, you have your established audience who we hope would come and support you at the gigs you're booked on, but we want to help you get a larger audience. In the end days, that if you can pick up a handful more followers or fans or gig attendees, that to me would be great. And it's something that's getting it there to that point, and start of a few things really.
Yeah, I mean, it's great you mentioned that, because, and it ties into the next question I've got. I remember when my band's social media. It hit 100 followers on Instagram before we even played our first gig, and I was like, we made it. Incredible. We had like 20 posts. But that's just because it comes down to self-promotion. Like, it's something that I really enjoy doing, especially for this now as well. Like, it's another thing I can promote and just talk about, because I think it's, like you said, you have to be the one to shout the loudest. And I think that like artists do want to do it, but they're just not equipped, or they don't know how. Because also social media is weird right now. There is censoring of random stuff and copyrights over things that don't matter. And also algorithms are weird. When you post things, you can get lost in the nether and replaced by something else. But I think that ties in great to my next question, because you've recently established the Juicebox live development and training scheme for
Yes,
artists and for staff, really. So I
it's
want to talk about that too.
it's something we've kind of, well, not kind of, we have had running quite a few years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not a
But
new thing. It's
no,
yeah.
but I've set it up again during lockdown. I set it up as a separate entity because basically I felt as it had grown to a point that we could
Yeah.
look at it as something separate to take away from just the live shows and the live part of the organisation.
Yeah.
It's the development and training. It's a community interest company, which basically means it's not for profit. So anything that comes in through it, whether it be funding from the Arts Council, whether it be support or sponsorship, or whatever comes in through that, will be reinvested basically into the project to create more opportunities. Obviously, there will be trainers that come in, so maybe external trainers from outside Juicebox, and maybe members of the Juicebox team who do it, who would be paid for their time for doing training. And there would obviously be perhaps rental of facilities or things like that. So there would be outgoings and incomings within it. So it is still a business. But if the business makes any profit, it is just reinvested back into it so that we can make this I don't want to say conveyor belt, but it's something that the opportunities can continue. So again, I don't know if anyone who's watching this has attended perhaps any of the artist development sessions that we've run at venues over the years. So we've had guest speakers from the likes of the Subways and Gallows and Shikari and Bloodhound Gang, Friendly Fires. So it's kind of, so we've called upon people who've played through the venue or got contacts with, and the booking agents have been involved, and engineers, whether they be live engineers, studio engineers, PR companies. So you name it, anything that's involved in the business, we've had someone come do a guest talk on it, which may be something that relates to what we're doing now as well, is that we have, rather than just artists, or is actually invite industry specialists come talk as well. Again, we've had like record labels come in, say this is what we would be looking for. These are the right practices, and it is something that we, as I say, want to continue doing that. The aspect which has perhaps been something we've done without knowing has been the career development. So we've had members of our team over the years who've gone on to get full-time jobs within the live or music industry. So whether that be working for a record label, working for a PR company, working as road crew, working obviously as a promoter, still within Juicebox, and that side of it is that. So when we set this up 14 years ago, we didn't ever envisage we'd be in a position to do that. It was a hobby. It was something of putting on some bands that we wanted to see, and it has been something where, because of the volume of shows we're doing and where we're working, we've been able to obviously create opportunities. And that's not necessarily staying within Juicebox, because we don't have the facility to take on someone full time in all of that.
No.
Obviously, there are more opportunities growing within it, but it is something we thought, well, actually, we've got this expertise. So if someone comes in and wants to grow within the industry or get experience, that we're able to offer that. We're predominantly based in St Albans, but even to what we've done in Bishop Stortford, so going into a new area, putting on nights, and we're seeing new artists form as bands, really. We're seeing some artists starting to choose to put a performance on because there's a facility to play. There are lots of places where there are artists from that area, but they don't have somewhere to play. So something which we're looking at doing is perhaps going into new areas to put on shows. So taking someone to do training and in a new area. So not necessarily just in St Albans or Bishop Stortford. It could be Bedford, Milton Keynes, Colchester, Leicester, wherever it may be. So I will talk to the venues and get these things, and then we'll find people within those areas who want to do this. but almost with a proviso of the shows focused around local artists. So there are perhaps, if it's a 3-band bill or 4-band bill, that either 2/3 or 3/4 of the lineup are from that area. And then one artist will be a non-local act. And we probably look at getting an artist from one of the other areas we're working within. So let's say, for example, we had a show in St Albans. The promoters or promoter network we would have would talk to each other and say, well, we feel as though this band deserves an opportunity to play somewhere else. And they would then play, say, in Bedford, but they will be classified as that non-local band with local acts. And then what we'll do is we'll offer the artists a chance to play in new places within our network of promoters, but knowing that it's going to be a relatively strong lineup and there's no necessity for that artist to have a big audience in a place they've never played. So it's the thing of trying to then develop them in those places. So the artists that have shown the right behaviours in the places that we're already working will then get opportunities in other places. And again, it's us trying to almost create a touring network, but within our venues, and it's something of helping to develop the artist.
Yeah, I mean, to have that plan in place is great, and to actually put them in like not the firing line. What's a good, just sort of like a hot water scenario where it's like you're out of your local area, playing in front of people who have no idea who you are, or potentially no one, because no one knows or is familiar with you in the local circuit, and that can be daunting. But also that's great as well. Not only just to keep that going forward with like getting artists out there in different areas, but also just for venues to keep putting acts on. And obviously, since the start of lockdown, we've had a massive threat of losing nearly all the venues.
Yeah,
not a lot of, pretty much all of them, I would say, all the grassroots venues.
Yeah, at one point, I would say back in, let's say, April, there was probably, we probably were in a position of losing about 90% of the venues in the country, grassroots venues in the country. It says something obviously through the work I've been doing with Music Venue Trust.
That's what I want to talk about.
That we've kind of, I'm not saying that venues are safe, because there's still a lot to be done.
Safer, but
I would say that since the government announced the $1.5 billion or $1.57 billion support package, that there feels as though that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But we don't know how far that tunnel is. So it might be that we're still 3 months, 4 months away from any form of live music in front of an audience indoors. It might be that we're 6 months away. It might be we're a year away. It might be that we're weeks away. We don't know. It's unlikely we're weeks away, but it is something that we've got to that point. We know that there's a support package, but the details of that haven't been released at this point yet. So it becomes the thing of going, well, yes, there's like a likelihood that venues will get something just because of what government have been saying, and they've been mentioning grassroots venues. But it is something we need to see it where it's going specifically. And it's something of supporting the venues is one point, but for me, as someone who works across various different fields, is that this is more than just the venues needing something. The crews, the artists, the whole infrastructure needs some support, because if you don't have artists, the venues are empty.
Yeah, literally.
So if you don't have a venue, the artists have nowhere to play. So they're all vital cogs. So the support needs to be there to support everything, because so if it doesn't, we'll say it'll be 2 steps forward and 3 steps back.
But great support thus far, though. I mean, the Horn crowdfunder went down great. It got enough, at least for now. But like, are you worried about that support post-lockdown? Like, how would we keep that, maintain that level?
The crowdfunder support was incredible. It's something
it really was.
I think is that to achieve over sort of £30,000 in public sort of support is basically, I think we were just astounded that we hit that, and it's something that the love for the venue is second to none, and it's something I'm extremely proud to be part of a venue that's that loved. And I think at the time, again, it was something that was in somewhere in the region of was less than half of what the Horn needed to survive in terms of the bills that were being charged, so rent and things like that. And it is something of this support package. If it covers things and the support is there, then great. And I think we'll know before the end of July where that's going. And I'd say I would say I'm confident that the horn will return.
Cool.
And I would like to say that the majority of venues will. Some won't, and it'd be a sad case because we don't want to lose any venues.
No, of course not.
But it is something of post-lockdown is going to be, it'll be strange. I think there's been surveys done, again, Music Venue Trusted surveys, some ticketing agencies have done surveys, and audiences want to go and watch live music, but they want to do it when it's safe, and we don't want to put music on until it is safe to do so. Basically, have to wait for government guidance to do so. Obviously, recently there was the announcement that you could have outside performances. However, there's a lot of caveats to that. So there are things with the outside performances that you could, anyone singing or playing woodwind or brass instruments would have to be 3 meters apart from anyone else. So if you have a ska band playing, you're not going to be, that's your whole pub garden. So, but it's, so there's that, but there's also noise levels. It's still in the guidelines that any noise has to be, it can't be at a level that causes people to raise their voices. So if you have someone performing and it's at a level that's going to cause someone to raise their voice, it can't be done. But again, it's all falls upon risk assessments and environmental health and licensing and various other things. So it's kind of, it's not to say it can't be done, but to be honest, at the moment, the horn and other places, we won't be doing it.
It'll be not only like a health risk, but also I think just kind of unethical and strange to even think about. I mean, it'll be illegal if you want to do it now, so there's that. But like, I know personally, as much as I miss playing and just watching gigs, especially at venues like the Horn, I don't feel totally safe until I know it's totally safe when I can do that. And I think that's the case of everyone else. We all miss it. We all really do.
I think within the next month or two, we will see indoor gigs. Yeah. We will see indoor, but it'll be socially distanced shows. And I'm not, let's say, if we're not putting on Idols, with a socially distanced gig, your audience isn't going to sit there with chairs 1 meter apart from each other with the band being told they can't be near each other. Those sort of shows they're not going to work. No. As much as we may want to see that sort of thing, or not see that sort of thing, but see bands performing. It's something of, can you imagine being at that show? Can you imagine?
It wouldn't be right.
It wouldn't feel right. Could you imagine seeing, obviously, Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes and Frank being told,
no,
you can't move off the stage, you can't interact with anyone?
It's not going to happen.
That's part of the show. It's part of the performance. It's something of, there are talks and mentions it could be October, but then I've seen other talks saying it could be January. Others saying it could be April. So it's, at the end of the day, it's keep monitoring it. We will do it when it's safe to do it, and we are told that it's safe. At least at the moment, artists can actually meet up and rehearse.
Yeah.
So I think, to me, is that some advice I would give is get writing, recording.
Totally.
Use the time. This amount of time isn't going to be available for a lot of people again. No. And obviously the experiences are different. Obviously, I fully expect in the next year to have heard 1,000,001 lockdown songs.
Yep.
But I fully expect to hear some great music come out of it as well. It's something that if you're looking for inspiration, well, there's certainly a lot in terms of what's happening in the world at the moment, and the political landscape is obviously very, very interesting for writing songs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there was such a big I mentioned this to all the artists I've interviewed so far, really, because it's a good thing to talk about, the sort of pressure of making art in this free time. We don't have to, but I think especially I haven't written a lot, in all honesty, but that's fine because I've had other things to do. Like now I've had this podcast, I've had the other one. I've still been busy doing things for myself and for my band, and that's great. But I feel like I just wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if there was 1,000,001 lockdown songs, 1,000,001 lockdown disaster films for the next 3 years, because like what else is there to talk about? Because now we're in this situation where it's like, oh, do you remember when this happened?
I think it's something of, I think it's good to an extent that there will be that, because I think that through this, and obviously it's been something that there's a lot of awareness about anyway, but I think that due to, especially in the early stages where people weren't really able to interact with others a lot other than even using something like this, where some people weren't aware of these facilities, is mental health. And the mental health aspects of it is something of the songwriting and the creativity is something that's a release of that. It's kind of, and that to me is such an important thing. And I think that these sort of things with the interaction and talking to people is such a key thing at these times.
Oh yeah.
And it's something I've tried to encourage between various teams. So our engineer crew, our promoters and events team, and the management within the network as well, the venues, as well as various other things. It's basically regular catch-ups, even if it's dropping someone a message they haven't spoken to for 6 months and just saying, how are you? And I think that's something we've got to be very mindful of. And I think it's something that in the next, and as we come out of lockdown, we've got to be there and support people, because it's going to be strange. It's going to be a strange scenario when we get back to doing gigs. Those first gigs that people attend,
it's going to be weird. It's going to be strange.
And standing with people. And I think it's something that as performers, as event organisers, as venue staff, we all have to just take it on board and be there. And it's about being supportive. And I hope that's something that comes out of it, that people are a lot more supportive. Obviously, we are seeing a lot more division with decisions that have been made. So I think it is something that it's do the right thing. It's be there, supportive, and it's something that we've always encouraged. And I know everyone within our team and our network tends to be there. And I think the music industry is generally like that. I think it's
been better recently, from what I've seen.
I think it's something that's always been there. If you can look back, obviously, because it's been the 35th anniversary of Live Aid recently. It was it was something that the musicians and the music industry stepped up to support something. And it tends to be the thing that it does, and people are there, and it's politically it is towards more of a left-wing viewpoint as an industry. Generally, that's been the way it has been. Obviously, there's divides within it, but I think you generally find, especially at grassroots level, that people aren't doing it for the money. They're doing it because they're passionate about it, and they love it. And I think that's the key thing, is that it's that people want to help others, and reinvest their time and effort to helping other people, which is, so it's something we've been advocates for throughout what we do. It's why we exist, really.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you're not an artist in this time, or if you just write privately, not for anyone else, or if you just don't songwrite at all, music in general is just a great sort of comforting thing. It's a release in general. It can be slow and quiet and sad, or it could be just fast and loud and aggressive. But like, if it helps you with something or gets you out of it, then that's enough. That's all it could be. And it doesn't have to be. It could just be fun. It could just be fun and pointless and dumb, and that's okay too. And that kind of segues into my last question, actually. What have been like your go-to musicians or albums or songs this whole period, even recently or anything?
Yeah, see, this is a problem. I hate questions like this because
I know.
Because my music, I have my music taste. I have what I listen to, and I'll go to, and I'll buy tickets to go and see. But I've got quite a broad spectrum of what I listen to now because of what I do.
Yeah.
Especially compared to when I first started, I used to be very blinkered in, this is the sort of night we are, because it was a sort of a club night opposed to putting on multiple sort of shows. And so during this time, there's been a lot of things. So like the whole sort of Tim Burgess, Tim's listening parties has been quite good, because I've gone back and rediscovered music that I listened to when I was a teenager and things like that. So a lot of the 90s stuff or the early sort of 2000s sort of stuff, like I've gone back and listened to. So a lot of Britpop and Liberty and Strokes and artists like that. But then there's obviously artists like Idols, Fontaines DC, Shame, those sort of acts which obviously I enjoy listening to. I've been listening to a lot of that, and obviously Idols have brought out a new album or in the process of bringing out a new album, so I've been listening to a lot of their new material. But then I have a playlist that I've kind of always run as a sort of a private thing. I think I've made it live during lockdown, but it's basically anyone who sends me music, I just add their new track onto it, and just put the playlist on shuffle. And I think I've got something like 17 hours worth of music. So ranging from signed artists playing at Ali Pali to a band playing their first gig at the Horn. It's something that their music is included on that playlist.
Yeah.
And I try to listen to it without knowing who they are.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that I can go, oh, I like that one. And then it'll be something, so I'll have it on in the car, or I'll have it on while I'm working, and it will be something of, there'll be tracks that I just put there and I'm like, oh, okay, what's that one? So there's, there's been a few acts on that which I've enjoyed, and I try not to say, oh, this local act, because again, I definitely I don't want to ever have any favoritism towards local acts, especially when I'm booking shows.
Yeah.
There's an act called Anorak Patch.
I know you love them. You mention them every time.
They're good. I haven't booked them yet. I want to. They're great. They're so young. It's like crazy what they're doing. See, I caught Wink's track, which they released early in lockdown. Vigilantes, obviously, I should mention, who I'm working with, were on Radio 1's Big Weekend, or they were due to play the festival, but it ended up being a virtual festival in the end. So they recorded a session for Radio 1. So it was played across the whole Radio 1 network and things like that. So it was great, but obviously wasn't the same as playing Radio 1's Big Weekend. No. So, but that was brilliant for them to do. And to say they're a great band. The Wink track was Morning Stroll. Blanket Man. They're worth checking out. Paper Mill, another local act who haven't played at the Horn yet, but that features some of Lone Atlantis.
That's cool.
It's a new project from them. But yeah, I say if it's not live, then I will make it. I'll make it a public sort of play. And then if anyone's got any tracks they want me to just send them to me, just send it to me. I tend to use Apple Music, so make sure you've got your tracks on Apple Music, because it actually pays a little bit more than Spotify.
Yeah, it's a bit. Another 0.0010p. Whenever you said, like, again, whether that's in October or January or whenever that is, like, there's going to be a lot of new music and so much art out there to dive into in our own time, and that's a very exciting thought.
I'm looking forward to as soon as we do get back, because we've got so many great shows. It's something that I'm looking at going, well, actually, because we've rescheduled things from this year, so they're all being moved, plus all the stuff we're booking. It's kind of a thing of sitting there going, well, actually, we need more venues. And that's the plan, is to get promoters in to do that and offer the opportunities to perform, and obviously get more opportunities for artists to play on support slots, because that's again something you've experienced, is that the hard work that's put in can pay off, and you can get those opportunities and play with artists like Strange Bones.
Thank you for that again. That was a great night. Right. Oh, yeah, that was a good one. That was so out of the blue when you dropped us that opportunity. That was so cool. That was such a cool thing.
I'd say it's something that if the behaviours are right, the opportunities will be there, and I've got a team of the Horn and the venues who we will constantly talk about what's happening and what artists are doing, and there will be things of, like, I'll use social media to see who members of bands follow as well. So if you're sitting there and you like a band, then that's probably going to be a clue to me that if that opportunity becomes available, that you're probably going to want to do the show rather than just doing it for the sake of it. And that to me is that not say appreciate the show, because it's not like, oh, here we're doing you a favour, because you're doing us a favour by being artists who care and are passionate about what you do. So we want to support that, and if we can make it that you're fan, or offer you the opportunity to perform with artists you're fans of, well, that's even better, and it's then learn off of them and use those things to learn.
Yeah, and again, thank you for that, because that was just a great night, and it was so surreal hearing that as our 5th ever gig as a band, and that was so bizarre, and it felt intimidating, but I think that's also such a big leap for us as well, because now we feel more ready after going for that sort of metaphorical ring of fire, having that big opportunity.
Well, I'd say, so how did you find performing in that scenario? It's something of there was obviously an audience that didn't know you.
Well, yeah, it was near enough. The whole room was full, and that was great. Didn't feel nervous or intense about it, to be honest. I just sort of, obviously, because when you're on stage, you're blinded by the lights. You can't really see anything anyway. So it's like you're by yourself. So it's not that wasn't an issue to me. But it was when we arrived and we saw the load in And like obviously they have the screens on stage. I went to my drummer Neil, like, oh wow, this is something else. This is something else entirely walked into. This is interesting. How this could play out. And it really was.
Yeah, to me, it's that thing. But because it's because of the shows, how they've gone before. And obviously we know the artists who are involved in the band as well. So if they've been involved in other projects, we know the level of experience they've got, because it is something of, again, when we put this same, going back to what we talked about before, where you've got someone who we're going to put them into a new area, they're representing the area they're from.
Yeah.
Especially going out and saying, well, you are the best of this region. So if we put on an artist on a show that's busy, you're showcasing what talent we have in that area, and it only goes to make the rest of the music community in that area look better, or it helps strengthen it, because then suddenly people will go away talking about it, saying, well, actually that band great, and they don't consider the artist as a local band if they're at a certain level. They don't. And when I say local band, is that if you speak to people outside of our network, sometimes that will be a derogative comment.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like, oh, they're only a local band. It's like, no, they're a new band who are learning what they're doing. And to me, it's also a thing of, we want to give those opportunities when we felt the artist is ready to do it.
Yeah.
Because we don't want you to be in a position to fall at that hurdle. We want it to be that you know how to play to that audience and can and basically win over new people, and then expand and grow what you do, because those opportunities are difficult to get to, and they are difficult to get because we don't always have the final say on who we can put on a show, even though it's our event. Sometimes there will be a tour support or there will be something, so we don't get that. So when we are given it, we want to make sure that that band has that impact, and that they're getting extra likes or follows on social media, and also that their behaviour on the show is good, and that their interaction with the other artists is great, because we want everyone to enjoy what they're doing with us as much as we can. And we want to support everyone as much as we can.
And I think that's sort of a great note to close on as well. In St Albans alone, we're very lucky, especially recently, we have an amazing local music scene. So many different acts and artists and genres.
I think the three counties has always been quite blessed, and there is a network of artists who around. Basically, it comes from the Horn. It's something. The Horn is the hub of that, because there's somewhere to play, and that's why I want to help develop in other areas, because if they don't have somewhere to play, or they don't have a regular event that can put on music for them, then it's very difficult to grow that, and that is something that we want to help achieve across a region. And I look forward to bringing in new people who can help us do that, because I probably don't have enough time to do even more shows. But I also think there should be younger, newer promoters, even bringing more diverse genres as well.
Yeah, this has been great. And I mean, obviously there won't be as much as in-depth talk in the future episodes of this, because it'll just be about the acts and what they're doing, if they're doing anything release-wise in lockdown or whatnot. It'll be mainly about them. But I think this was great to really just chat about what we know so far going forward, and then some within legality, obviously. So this has been absolutely great. So thank you for coming on for the first episode.
Not a problem at all. I feel that was probably the best for me to do one.
Just to stifle your ego a little bit, just swim around in it.
No. I like being behind the scenes. It's something for me. But I felt so it's probably good to kind of give an idea about this and what we do. It's
interesting for me.
And then obviously, we can obviously do more in future if you're ever stuck, or obviously other members of the team I know will be up for it and can talk about different aspects. So
absolutely,
because they're all interesting people.
Yeah,
more interesting than me, definitely.
How beautiful! I'm great.
They've all got a lot more stories. They're all young as well, so they're out. They're not sitting at home. No, actually, they should be. They probably are.
No, they are. Yeah, I'm just very grateful to be part of this team now as well, to do something.
I'm excited to have you part of it, because I think this is something that I've wanted to have running for a while, and I think it's and I hope that it gets the traction that it deserves.
So do I. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you too for handing me to it. But But yeah, again, just thank you. Good morning, I guess. It's 10:30 in the morning. So hope you have a good day, and just thanks for coming on as well. Just kick this off.
Yeah. I've got another few meetings today. Don't worry.
Right, sorry about that. Take it easy, yeah? Thank you very much again.
Cheers.
See ya.